Today I'm going to show you how to make a plant-based okonomiyaki that's just as flavorful as the original. So stick around. Welcome back to No Recipes. I'm Mark Matsumoto and I'm here to show you how to elevate your everyday meals. So I hope this video earns your subscription and perhaps your support on Patreon. The more I travel, the more similarities I see between cultures from around the world. And despite our perceived differences, I think we're all more alike than different. Take pancakes, for example. You have crepes in France, blini in Russia, injera in Ethiopia, and here in Japan, we have okonomiyaki. It's a savory pancake that's often compared to an American pizza. That's because okonomiyaki literally means cooked as you like it in Japanese. And as the name implies, you can load it up with all of your favorite ingredients. The base is usually made with flour and egg, along with some shredded cabbage. But today we're going to be making it with yamaimo, or Japanese mountain yam, in place of the egg. Yamaimo literally means mountain potato, and it's a member of the yam family. It can be eaten raw, but it has a very mucilaginous texture that can be a little off-putting for some people. It firms up when you cook it though, which makes it an ideal substitute for eggs in a plant-based recipe. Look for it in your local Asian supermarket. Our other ingredients are 160 grams of cabbage, 40 grams of fresh shiitake mushrooms, 20 grams of scallions, 30 grams of all-purpose flour, 16 grams of benishoga, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Okonomiyaki is as much about the condiments as the stuff you mix into it, so we're going to be using some okonomiyaki sauce and plant-based mayo to top it off, but any sweet and savory sauce like ketchup or even barbecue sauce will work. I'm also going to shave some dried shiitake mushrooms on top, which stands in for the katsuobushi, and I have some aonori, which is a fragrant green variety of nori. We're going to be using all-purpose flour today, but if you want to make this gluten-free, you can substitute some potato starch in place of the flour. Let's start by preparing the yamaimo. We need to peel it first, and I usually use a knife to go around it like this. You can use a peeler too, but be careful because it's very slick. Be sure to go back over it and get any dark spots like these. Next, we need to puree it. I'm too lazy to get out the food processor or blender, so I usually just grate it using my daikon grater. If you don't have one, the rasp on a box grater will work as well. Now here's the magic of yamaimo. It takes on a slick, viscous texture when it's grated, just like egg. Okay, let's prep our mix-ins. For the cabbage, I stack the leaves and then roll them up, which makes them easier to slice into thin threads. Then you just take a sharp knife and shred the cabbage as thinly as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to pay special attention to get the stems sliced thinly. Otherwise, they're going to end up being a little tough in your okonomiyaki. I sometimes like to mix in some leaves of red cabbage for some extra color and anthocyanins. Let's go ahead and dump the cabbage into a big mixing bowl. Next, I'm going to chop up the scallions. These are getting cooked, so you don't need to worry about chopping them too small. Some other options here are leeks, shallots, or fried onions. Let's throw these into the bowl with the cabbage as well. For the fresh shiitakes, you'll want to clean them with a damp paper towel to remove any debris or growing medium. Be sure to check under the cap as well. Then I'm going to trim the tough parts of the stems off and slice the caps as thinly as possible. The idea here is to mimic the thinly sliced pork belly that's usually added to okonomiyaki. These mushrooms have so much flavor, you're not gonna miss the pork. Okay, let's throw these into the bowl too. Now I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle on the flour, as well as the salt. And then we're gonna mix this together well so the dry ingredients are evenly coating the veggies. Next, you want to pour over the grated yamaimo and then toss in the benishoga. Then we just need to mix this up until it comes together into a batter. The only required ingredients for this okonomiyaki are cabbage, flour, and yamaimo, so you can chop up and mix in just about anything you want to make it your own. I often just chop up leftovers and odds and ends from the veggie drawer, which makes this a great way to clean up the fridge. This is looking good, so let's go ahead and fry this up. Okonomiyaki is traditionally cooked on a steel teppan, so I'm using a cast iron griddle, but any heavy bottomed frying pan will work. It's been preheating over medium heat, so I'm gonna add a tablespoon of oil and spread it around. Then I'm gonna add half of the batter and use a spatula to shape it into a round pancake that's about 3/4 of an inch thick. It doesn't have to be perfectly round, but you do want to make sure it's the same thickness and that the bottom of the okonomiyaki is making good contact with the pan. Now we're gonna cover this with a lid, turn down the heat, and let it steam for about 3 minutes. Different stoves and pans are gonna brown at different speeds, so it may take a few tries until you get your timing right, but the idea is to steam the top while getting the bottom golden brown. Once the bottom is nice and brown, we're gonna flip the okonomiyaki over. Then you want to press on it using the spatula to ensure the bottom is making good contact with the pan. Next, we'll cover it back up for another 2 to 3 minutes. And voila! That's looking perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this to a plate, and you can repeat this process with the rest of the batter. While we wait for the second one to cook, let's go ahead and dress this one up. I'm gonna start by squeezing an ample dose of okonomiyaki sauce on top. It has a fruity, savory flavor that's a bit like tonkatsu sauce, except it's much thicker, which allows you to glaze the okonomiyaki without having it seep into the pancake. Next, I'm gonna squeeze on some mayonnaise. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of mayo, but for okonomiyaki, it works. This one is made using soy milk and oil. Unfortunately, it's a little too firm to pipe nicely when it's cold, but by using a toothpick to draw patterns in it, I was able to salvage it. Now I'm gonna sprinkle on some aonori, and then I'm gonna use a microplane to shave flakes of dried shiitakes on top. This serves a similar function to katsuobushi in that it adds boatloads of umami to the okonomiyaki. For the cherry on top, I'm gonna top this with a bit more benishoga, and my okonomiyaki is done. With fresh shiitakes on the inside and the shiitake flakes on the outside, this plant-based okonomiyaki is just as flavorful as the original without adding any seafood or meat. Because it doesn't include any egg, it isn't quite as fluffy as most okonomiyaki, but I actually prefer it because the texture becomes closer to takoyaki. This is how I plan to make all of my okonomiyaki from now on, whether the mix-ins are vegan or not. I made this very basic okonomiyaki to show you the framework of the batter and how to cook it, but as the name says, you should feel free to make it your own by mixing in your favorite ingredients into the batter. Okonomiyaki makes for a delicious, satisfying meal that's loaded with veggies, and it's a great way to use up odds and ends in your fridge. So I hope you'll give it a try. If you enjoyed this video, let me know you want to see more like it by giving this a big thumbs up and by sharing it with all your friends that love a good pancake. As always, I want to thank my awesome patrons on Patreon for making this video possible. If you like what I'm doing here, hit the link up here to join the No Recipes crew and support our future videos. Well, I'm gonna go fry up the rest of this batter and have some for lunch, but I'll catch you in the next one. Check us out on Instagram at No Recipes.